Good morning, Louisiana. This is Attorney General Jeff Landry, guest hosting for Moon Griffon. We have guests calling in on the Hickson Has It hotline. And our first guest from Abbeville to Crowley and Lake Charles to Morgan City, the people of Southwest Louisiana are hardworking, God-fearing, patriotic Americans, just like our first guest, who is their representative, Congressman Clay Higgins, Congressman for Louisiana's 3rd Congressional District. Clay.
Good morning, my friend. How are you, sir?
Great. Great to be with you. How are things?
Oh, continuing the battle, and we're continuing to win, brother. We're gonna stay engaged up here in this bizarre realm in Washington D.C., which you're very familiar with. There's some real characters up here, and boy, they're cutting up on the left right now, are they not?
Oh Lord, their hair's on fire.
Yeah.
One more Supreme Court pick, it might be.
Seems like the sky is always falling across the aisle, isn't it?
Man, look, I'd hate to be a liberal. I mean, you got to wait. I mean, you got anxiety 24/7. I mean, I guess it's good for the drug companies that sell anxiety medicine. I don't know, but Clay, look, we wanted to give you an opportunity. I know that you and Senator Kennedy both have introduced legislation or resolutions denouncing the left for their call for abolishing ICE. And ICE rescues hundreds of kids. I think last year they rescued like 500 human trafficking victims and over 900 children that was subject to exploitation. And of course, this is the organization that the left, this is the agency that the left wants to abolish, right?
Right, and it's exactly, Jeff, the Democrats right now, are seizing upon any opportunity to create division in our nation, and they're manufacturing problems where they don't exist. And to call for the abolishment of ICE is like dangerously ridiculous. ICE is the front line, man. Their enforcement removal operations in 2017. Let me just run through a couple of numbers for your listeners there. Talking about 76,000 drug offenses, 48,000 assault offenses, 11,000 weapons violations, 5,000 sexual assault offenses, 2,000 kidnapping offenses, and 1,800 homicide offenses. These are the kind of criminal aliens that ICE arrested in 2017. Those are the numbers. So to say that you want to abolish ICE basically means that you support human trafficking, drug trafficking, and weapons trafficking. That's the posture. To my amazement, I find my colleagues across the aisle, many of whom I have a great respect for, but collectively, they have lost their minds over there, man. So we have introduced this resolution. We're actually introducing it this evening because the interest in original co-sponsorship has been great. We're sitting on about 40 original co-sponsors right now. So we were going to drop it yesterday afternoon. We decided to drop it this evening to give some of my Republican colleagues opportunity to get on the list of original co-sponsors, and we're just going to make a very clear statement that we support law enforcement in this country. This is a nation of law and order. A sovereign nation cannot stand without sovereign borders. ICE are the boots on the ground. They're the point of our spear down there, protecting our borders and making arrests of serious felons. So we're just going to be very loud and clear about this with this resolution. And as you mentioned, there's a Senate version as well. We're introducing it bicamerally, which is the way to go.
Congressman Higgins, I could tell you one thing that's astonishing to me is that these folks, I was listening to the news this morning coming in, this judge down here is protesting about the fact that we're testing these kids to determine by DNA samples to determine whether or not this is actually the parents of these children. And you and I know you were involved in law enforcement for years. You and I both know that a majority of that traffic that's coming in with these kids, a lot of these kids are being exploited and brought here for sexual exploitation.
Exactly.
For who knows what.
Listen,
and the fact that
we have a responsibility. You know what? We're going to protect those children whether anybody likes it or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of these young teenagers being brought across the border by allegedly a parent or a relative that's not their parent or their relative in many cases. And you have to investigate that. You can't presume that what's presented to you on the surface is true. do. Anyone with any kind of investigator's background knows that a victim of abuse, they will lie to protect their abuser if they in the presence of that abuser, or even if they're not immediately in the presence, if they still feel the threat of that abuser. You have to separate that child and interview them in the right way to determine what the real truth is, and then through DNA testing and blood work, there's various means by which scientifically we can determine if that's actually a relative, and then we move forward from there, and we'll put them back together if they're real and safe, and it's the right thing to do. But we have to protect the children's best interest.
All right. Well, Clay, look, we're running out of time right here, and Moon's got me on a tight schedule. We really appreciate everything that you've been doing. We appreciate your fight in securing our nation's border. We know it's a public safety, it's a public safety issue. So thank you again. Look forward to seeing you again, my friend. Coming up, our next guest is a woman who hopefully will be joining Clay in Congress next year, South Carolina State Representative Katie Harrington. She's going to be joining us and talk about a medical update on herself. She was involved in a terrible automobile accident with actually a Louisiana native Jackie Goff, and she's the one that defeated Mark Sanford. So looking forward to our next guest. Thank you.